This is Dale Wetzel. This is the Legislature Today radio program. We're coming to you from the Peacock Alley American Bar and Grill in downtown Bismarck. And if you want to have a table, you'd better get here quickly because the place is filling up. And it's quite a bit of noise. We broadcast from the balcony of the Peacock Alley, and there's a lot of, that's the source of the ambient noise that you hear in the background is the sound of folks having a good time in the bar below us and the restaurant behind us. We have tonight's specials, which my co-host, Mr. Scott Hennon, is going to be discussing presently. Scott, what are the specials this evening?
Wine. In a word, wine. Wine Down Wednesday. Half-price bottles of wine all day long. Every flavor, every variety.
Outstanding.
You name it, take your pick, and cut the price in half. You can't beat a deal like that. It's almost as good as political wing night. Which
I may begin partaking before the show's over.
Did you know that 4 United States presidents have actually visited this very building?
I did not know that.
They were.
And who were they?
I thought you'd ask.
One
of them has a connection to North Dakota. I just blew that one. You know who it is?
Teddy Roosevelt.
Exactly right. One was assassinated while in office.
John F. Kennedy.
That's right. Another took the place of the person that was assassinated.
Lyndon Baines Johnson.
Exactly. And another guy had the cool in his name.
Calvin Coolidge.
You nailed it.
The subject, actually, of a new biography that's quite good by Ampty Shales.
Is it good?
Oh, it's outstanding.
Wow, I've got to read that.
You know, you like to read about a president of the United States that doesn't like to hear the sound of his own voice. That's very interesting.
Very rare for any politician, for that matter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, when you have a president of the United States who prides himself on how little he can speak, I think that's quite a blessing.
That sure is. By the way, interestingly enough, Coolidge, LBJ, JFK, and Teddy Roosevelt, 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans. So in fitting with tomorrow night's special, political wing night, right wings versus left wings, where you can get 10 fresh chicken wings for $5, very bipartisan atmosphere here.
Absolutely.
Wouldn't you say?
I would.
Exactly right. Another reason to come to the wonderful Peacock Alley American Grill and Bar. They're at 422 East Main Avenue in the historic Patterson Building in downtown Bismarck. And by the way, we should also tell you that they are the North Dakota, or they're actually the National Beef Innovator of the Year, as named by the National Cattlemen's Association. So one restaurant every year gets a Beef Innovator of the Year award, and this year, for the first time ever, it is a North Dakota restaurant at the Peacock Alley. So wherever you're listening, on our affiliates in the middle of the Bakken, or in the Red River Valley, or on our flagship 550 K-Fire, it's worth the drive in to the Peacock to have a fine meal.
What that means when you're given the award of Beef Innovator of the Year, what that means is when they cook your beef, they know what they're doing.
It's a very good way to say that, Dale. Spoken like a true newsman.
Yeah. It's innovation with food can be good, it can be not so good, but when we're talking about beef innovation, it means that they know how to cook your beef, and there's nothing more that you can ask than a well-cooked steak.
I have a question for you about something that happened in the legislature today.
What was that?
Ham Shivani, the chancellor of the North Dakota University system, is withstanding yet another accusation from someone. This guy has just been under withering assault with one accusation after another, and I see a current employee of the North Dakota University system has put forward some accusations to him. I would imagine, being the ace newsman that you are, you've dug into these. Is there any there?
Well, no. What the objection here is that was lodged during a meeting of the House Appropriations Committee, which there were several university presidents attending, was that Mr. Shirvani had not used correct benchmark institutions to compare graduation rates with. And instead of what Mr. Shirvani, Dr. Shirvani, I should say, used when first of all, Dr. Shirvani presented a bunch of data to the Appropriations Committee about the graduation rates in 4 years and 6 years of students at the University of North Dakota and North Dakota State University. And he compared these to the University of Wisconsin, the University of Iowa, the University of Minnesota, Iowa State, and the University of Nebraska. Now, what his supposed sin was that he didn't compare these schools to compare NDSU and UND to the University of Montana or the University of whatever it is in Duluth, Minnesota, or the University, the Minnesota State University in Moorhead. In other words,
smaller schools.
Yeah, the University of Wisconsin and the University of Iowa, etc., were thought of as being too large and maybe too prestigious to warrant comparison with UND and NDSU, which in itself is kind of a peculiar statement to make. And in any case, you have a 4-year graduation rate at the University of North Dakota, according to this data, and this is data that's also confirmed by the National Center for Education Statistics. The University of North Dakota, 23% of the students graduate in 4 years, and 54% graduate in 6 years. At NDSU, in 4 years, 22% of the students graduate in 4 years, and 52% in 6 years. Now, the national average, which includes all manner of 4-year institutions, I mean, it includes almost everyone. The graduation rate in 4 years is 31%, and the graduation rate in 6 years is 56%. So, in other words, UND and North Dakota State are both below the average, the national average, and the average of these other institutions that I mentioned. For example, the University of Wisconsin, their 4-year is 52% compared to the UND is 23% and NDSU is 22%. The University of Minnesota is 47% compared to UND 23%, NDSU 22%. And I think that, frankly, no matter who you're compared to, I mean, if you're being compared to, you know, the University of wherever, a 23% graduation rate after 4 years or 22% is not good. And that is the point the Chancellor is trying to make, is that these graduation rates are not good. How do we make them better? And what he is advocating is essentially tougher admission standards for these schools and a way to encourage the high schools to offer more college preparatory courses. And it's
so why would folks think that there's wrongdoing involved in benchmarking the North Dakota University system schools, or in this case the 2 research universities, against other schools? I mean, that's just a difference of how to present the problem, right? Not necessarily wrongdoing, is there?
Well, no. I mean, wrongdoing is your term. I wouldn't use it when describing this. And you know, if someone thinks that he should have used University A instead of University B as a comparison, I mean, I hardly think that that's a scandal.
But the accusation in committee today was that he had, forced a employee to use statistics that would have made the schools look,
look bad.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, but the statistics by themselves, they already look bad. I mean, 23%, 22% graduation rate in 4 years sucks. I don't care what you compare it to. Those statistics, in and of themselves, are bad, and the whole.
What's going on here? I
don't want to take so much of the time away from these students we've got here, Scott. So I'm going to cut you off there.
Enough of an update.
Yeah, we've got this is the University of Mary Hour on the legislature today, and we have with us the newly elected student president of the University of Mary, and also the newly elected vice president of the University of Mary, the student vice president and student president. The student president is Ryan Sapo. He's from Portland, North Dakota. And we have Emily Lear, the newly elected vice president. She's from St. Paul, Minnesota. Welcome. And I'd like to know, you were elected last Thursday. Talk about the campaign. What did you campaign on? What was your platform? What did you do?
Well, one of the things that we like to do at the University of Mary is put up a lot of posters. The signage really helps the students know what's going on campus, and so we put up a lot of posters. We created a Facebook page and a Twitter feed. Really, our campaign slogan was the Dream Team. Emily has a lot of experience in student life and residence life. She's a huge programmer for events on campus and has a lot of experience with the programming and the events. I served last year as student body president, so this was actually my re-election bid. And so I tried to show to people my experience in administrative techniques and dealing with all the different students and faculty and staff on a regular basis. We really had a lot of fun with the campaign this year. It was a really exciting time for us to spread the news and also to bring up some really important issues to students on our campus.
Emily Lear, your running mate just mentioned that you're huge programmer. Can you tell us what that means?
I am an RA in a freshman dorm on campus, North Hall. And
so you're the person I hide the beer from? Is that what
that
we do?
is 100% correct, yep.
Right.
And we work really hard to build community and instill the Benedictine values of the university in our students on campus. So as an RA, I plan programs in the dorms to get students out of their rooms and interacting with others and maybe partaking in things they wouldn't normally. I also serve on our student activities board as our chair, and we bring in live acts, comedians, hypnotists, magicians, all things like that.
Tell us some of the programs that you've arranged. You said you get people to do things they wouldn't normally do. I'd like to hear a little more about that.
This next month, we have a big program coming up, a campus-wide program for letter writing for the troops as a service program in the dorms that goes along with our campus read this year, which is a book called the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society that is written as a selection of letters. And so we are getting students out and about and writing letters that we're going to send to the troops, and they will be there in time for Memorial Day.
Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society?
Yes,
is that a coinage of yours?
No.
Oh, it isn't?
That's the book.
It's the book, okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Well, who wrote the book?
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
But that's a fascinating society. In fact, just listening to the title makes me want to join. Mr. Sapo, what does the student president do?
Student body president's job is to act as the communication liaison between the student senate and the administration. So there are about 20 to 25 student senators that are elected every year, and they were on the ballot with us in their specific districts for the general election for the year. And our job is to manage them. We have a lot, on student government, we have a lot of alpha personalities. They all, and I think we see this in state and federal government as well. There are a lot of people that want their voices to be heard and want their opinions to be heard, and sometimes don't listen to other people's ideas or thoughts or opinions. And so our job as a team, Emily and I, is to bring those ideas together, discern what the best plan of action for students are, and submit and propose policy changes and different ideas to the university's administration so that we can better the university for our students.
What sort of ideas do you bring to the administration, and how far-reaching can these ideas be?
It varies a lot. This year we've had a lot of proposals for a history major, a chemistry major, a finance minor. We have a proposal coming up for getting crucifixes installed in some of the classrooms on campus, changing mass times on campus. Students have brought up concerns with our online program system, software, something like that. Right. So we're looking at changing that. We've started an LMS task force for that. We hear a lot of concern with our new student center, student union, that is in the works. So we like to bring all that, get that all gathered at Senate, and then present it to administration.
I'm fascinated because you mentioned you want to have new courses, and also you mentioned you want to have more crucifixes on campus, which I thought you need to encourage the Catholic administration to put more crucifixes on campus.
Well, currently we don't have them in classrooms,
okay.
And so that's what a student is going for.
And is there resistance to this idea from this administration?
To our knowledge, there isn't. I think that this is something that the university feels very strongly about, and we're very excited to bring this idea forward. I think really the overarching goal for this is to just promote religious literacy on our campus. Regardless of your faith background, it's important to understand who we are as the University of Mary and also where we fit in the grand scheme of things culturally.
You also mentioned Mass times. Is Mass not held enough, or how does that
Students would like some in the morning. We do have some in a small chapel in South Campus every morning at 7 o'clock, right. I believe. And students up north can't go to that. Women can't go to that because it's held in a guy's dorm. It's a little tricky before visitation hours. So they're trying to get some that would be in the morning after breakfast where you could go if you don't have class and have afternoon.
So you don't want women showing up in a guy's dorm at 7 a.m.?
No, I don't.
Okay,
Right.
I wouldn't want to do that either.
It's really important, I think, to mention that in the past couple of years, the faith life on our campus has really exploded. When I was a freshman, that was 2 years ago already, I can't believe it, we had about 20 or 25 people showing up to the regular daily Mass at 4:30. Now we can't fit them into Our Lady of the Word, which holds about 150 people. So it's unbelievable how much it's exploded. Our Catholic identity is being discovered on campus, and I think people are really finding out who they are as humans. I mean, we have a presence of Catholics and non-Catholics going to Mass. It's pretty exciting stuff.
What do you attribute this to, this increase in activity?
Well, I guess I could say that the university has really done a great job recruiting students that are seeking truth. And regardless of their faith background, regardless of where they are in their lives, students are knowing about the University of Mary, and we're growing as a national presence, as an affordable 4-year private Catholic university. It's unbelievable how low our tuition is compared to the different other private Catholic schools in the country. And bringing more students nationally in makes our campus a lot more diverse and a lot more culturally competent. And that, I think, has attributed to the success of our campus ministry program and the increase in the attendance of Mass. I mean, it's unbelievable just to see how many people are just looking to deepen their faith and looking to figure out who they are as human beings and trying to create themselves as leaders in the service of truth.
I wanted to ask you both a little bit about yourself. First, Ms. Lear, where are you from originally?
I'm from Maplewood, Minnesota.
And where is that in Minnesota?
It's North St. Paul.
And why did you want to come to the University of Mary?
I came to the University of Mary. I looked at the University of Mary because I heard a gentleman on an airplane talking about being UMary alum. And I looked into their program, saw they had an awesome accounting major and an awesome speech team, forensics team at the time. And so that kind of sparked my interest. I came out here for a visit and met Monsignor Shea, and he met my mom, and that was it.
What was that like to meet Monsignor Shea?
It was something else. I toured a lot of colleges in preparation for picking a college, and not once did I ever meet the president of the university. And not once did I walk into a room where I felt welcomed and I knew they knew my name, they knew my mom's name, where we were from, and what I wanted to major in. He's a really great guy. He really goes above and beyond to get to know his students and incoming students for that matter.
What is your major?
I'm an accounting major.
And what would you like to do with that?
I would like to get my CPA and then eventually be a certified fraud examiner.
Why do you want to go into that business?
I couldn't tell you. I just really love accounting. I intern right now at the University of Mary in their business department, and I just love it.
Why do you want to be a fraud examiner instead of, say, for example, I don't know, someone who looks for corporate tax loopholes or someone who does something else?
I think there's just some type of mystery involved with fraud, and searching for it and being able to present it to a court. It's a lot more than sitting at a desk and looking through bill after bill after bill and tax after tax. So there's just a lot more involved.
Are you suspicious by nature?
Oh, yeah.
And how does that manifest itself in your daily life?
Well, in my internship right now, every time there's something wrong in payroll, I think it's fraud. It's not, but I always think it is.
Okay. What have you done? I mean, you mentioned your internship. You have an internship? Mm-hmm. And where is that?
On the University of Mary campus in the business office.
And you're checking over the books of the University of Mary?
Yeah, I do a lot of bank reconciliation, payroll reconciliation, stuff like that.
Have you always wanted to be an accountant?
No.
What did you want to be initially when you were thinking about a vocation?
I had no idea. I was kind of coming in blind. I was thinking maybe, college studies, but
Did you go to high school in Maplewood?
I went to high school in Oakdale, at Tartan Senior High.
Okay. Mr. Sapo, what are you majoring in at the University of Mary?
I'm a biology major, pre-optometry concentration.
And you want to be an optometrist?
Yes, sir.
Why do you want to do that?
When I kind of am a freak of nature, I guess. I found my calling early. When I was 13 years old, I was diagnosed with optic neuritis. I went blind for a week, it was basically an allergic reaction to the hepatitis B vaccine. I was blind for a week. The docs really didn't know what to do with me. They hadn't really seen this in a while. They put me on some meds. They ended up putting me on some steroids. I got better in like a little less than a week. In the experience, I got to see what all the doctors do, and I knew that healthcare at that point was what I was called to do. I didn't really see optometry until high school when I started doing some job shadowing in different medical professions, and I just fell in love with optometry. In the last 2 or 3, it's been 3 summers already. I've worked at an eye clinic back in Mayville, and that my boss was the doctor that actually diagnosed me with the optic neuritis. So he knows my story. He lets me play with all the cool toys they get to play with, and I mean, it was an incredible, life-changing experience. It really rocked my world.
How old were you when this happened?
I was 13.
And when you first went blind, how did you handle it?
Well, at first, I guess I was just kind of shocked. My parents kind of knew me as that kid who was a sensationalist of sorts. I made bigger deals about things, so they thought I was lying about it for a while. And then I started running into walls, and so that was probably the first clue. But I think that the biggest influence for me while I was in the hospital was just that. I was being looked after. I was being watched over. I had a great network of family and friends that were there to support me, and I ended up. They ended up, getting me fitted for a seeing eye dog and teaching me Braille for a little while. They didn't know if I was going to be able to come back around, and so that moment, I guess, made me realize that I shouldn't be taking things for granted, and that really taught me a lot about life and giving back what you've been given.
When did you fully regain your eyesight?
It was after 4 days of being blind in both eyes. It was progressive. It started in my right eye, and then about 3 days later, it was fully in my left eye too.
Could you see anything?
It's kind of like you wear glasses, so like when you take your glasses off and you look really far away and it's fuzzy, it's kind of like that, except there's no shapes, so it's just light and dark. No shadows, no anything. They would ask me, can you see the letters on the wall? And I'm like, what wall? They moved my nose and touched the wall like 2 inches away. It was.
So you'd be standing next to a wall 2 inches away, and you didn't know that there was a wall there?
Right.
Oh my goodness. You mentioned that. We'll get back to this conversation after our break. We're coming up to a break now. We have with us Emily Lear, the Vice President. The newly elected student vice president of the University of Mary, and Ryan Sapo, who is the newly elected president of the University of Mary. And they ran as a team, as a ticket, just as the vice president and president do in our federal government. And we'll be talking to them a bit more after the break about what life is like at the University of Mary. And I understand that they have both been to the University of Mary's Rome campus, which I'm sure is a good source of entertaining stories that we'll be sharing in our next half hour. So this is the Legislature Today, coming to you from the Peacock Alley American Bar and Grill in downtown Bismarck, North Dakota. Hour on our show. We have the University of Mary Hour each week. And the University of Mary of Bismarck is one of our major sponsors. And tonight we're speaking to Emily Lear, the newly elected vice president of the student body of the University of Mary, and also Ryan Sapo, who is the newly elected president of the University of Mary. Actually, Mr. Sapo was reelected to a new term as student body president. Emily Lear was elected to her first term as vice president. I understand, Mr. Sapo and Ms. Lear, you ran as a ticket. How did you decide to do that?
I ran last year with one of my good friends, Dylan Wyrock, and he's a senior this year. He's a biology major as well, and he and I really had a passion for student life and building a tradition on campus. And then this year he graduated, and I was trying to figure out if I was even going to run again. And then I looked across the table on student government. I saw Emily Lear there, and I really admired her leadership and her passion for students, and her poise and her charisma really attracted me to run with her. And our ticket, actually, we called ourselves the Dream Team because of her experience with student life and my experience with administration. I think we would be a great team for the University of Mary moving forward.
I was wondering, frankly, if it was a pickup line. Would you like to run for vice president?
Yeah, he tried.
Oh, my goodness. No.
Why did you decide to run with Mr. Sapo?
Ryan and I talked about it for a while, and I think with our past experience at the university, this just seemed like the next logical step. Ryan and I have been friends for the last 3 years. He got me involved in student government this year as the executive treasurer, and there was just nothing else to do, and this was it. So
I understand you both went to Rome, or both have been to Rome, the University of Mary's campus at Rome. Ms. Lear, could you tell us what that's like?
I went for the last 5 weeks of spring semester last year. So I was there this time. I was there for Easter. I was able to go to Easter Mass at the Vatican with the Pope. It was really incredible. We got to travel every weekend. We only had class Monday through Thursday afternoon. So Thursday afternoon till Monday morning, we'd pick off and fly to a different country every single weekend.
You flew?
Yep, we flew. We never took the train.
I'll be darned.
Nope. So it was really great. And as a student who is actually not Catholic at the University of Mary, I feel like I grew a lot in my faith, discovered a lot about myself and about the students that I traveled with and the faith that I was living there in Rome. It was just all around an incredible experience.
Where did you travel to when you were traveling?
My roommate and I went to Barcelona. We went to Krakow, London, Dublin, Venice, Paris, and then just various little cities around Italy.
And what did you visit these particular places?
Well, Barcelona kind of came as a surprise. It was our first weekend there, and we didn't have a plan, and we were like, we're not going to sit here. We've been here for a week. We got to do something. So we flew to Barcelona, got caught in a crazy riot. It was the craziest weekend I've ever had in my life.
What was the riot about? Do you remember?
It was a planned riot about something about the hiring and firing laws for youth in that country, which the youth in Spain is under 45. They classify as youth. So it was like everybody was rioting. We turned on the news. They're like, over 1 million people gathered in Barcelona today to riot, and it was crazy.
Was it fun, the riot?
We were terrified.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no. My roommate had never left Montana until she came to North Dakota for college. So we were bawling, calling our parents. We had to call the U.S. Embassy. It was a mess.
What did the U.S. Embassy tell you?
You picked a bad weekend to come to Barcelona.
You say, well, we figured that out ourselves. So what do you do next?
Well, they said it was planned, and they were like, if it's not over in the morning, we'll call you back. We'll get you a plan. We'll get you out of there. And we woke up in the morning, and it was like nothing ever happened.
So what did you do while this riot was going on?
Well, we were like, what are we going to do? We've been on 3 buses. We're in the middle of Barcelona. How are we going to get back to the airport? We don't know where we were. So we just turned around and started walking until we heard somebody speaking English, because we had seen an American hostel on the bus, so we figured we'd try to walk back there. Heard this guy speaking English who was actually from Rome, who owned a hotel, who gave us a night. We stayed there. We called our professor, Daphne, who's traveled the world like 5 times, I'm pretty sure. She said, put something in front of the door, call me in the morning, don't leave. So that's what we did. Laid in bed and talked to our parents.
Mr. Sapo, did you run into any riots when you were in Rome?
A riot of sorts. I toured with the University of Mary's concert band and concert choir in May. We went we did a tour of Austria, Germany, and Italy. And we were in Soto Marina, Italy, and it was the night of the Italian Cup final for soccer, which is a huge deal over there. I mean, it was crazy. Juventus was the team of the city, and they won the cup title, and the streets just flooded and erupted, and it was one of the craziest parties and experiences I've ever been to. It was just so much fun seeing everybody. A guy took a jersey off of his back and gave it to me, and so I mean, I even got a souvenir
What prompted
from
him to do that?
I don't know. I think he was just celebrating, and I was yelling back at him, and I wasn't speaking the same language as him, so he might have been just excited about that. So he just he gave me his jersey of Juventus, which was cool.
And did you? To what extent did you travel to other locations in Europe?
Well, we started in Munich and basically just bussed south and did different performances. We stopped in Salzburg, and then we stopped in Venice and Vienna as well. We took trips to places like Orvieto, Assisi, Monte Cassino, places that were important to the Benedictine heritage of our university, and it was really cool to do that. And then we spent we were in Europe 21 days. We spent 10 of them in Rome. on our Rome campus, and that was an incredible experience. We got to do things like singing in the Sistine Chapel by ourselves on a private tour. We got to sing for the Pope at one of his papal audiences, Pope Benedict, and then we also got to just do all kinds of different things. I jumped off a 50-foot bridge into a glacial river while we were whitewater rafting in Austria. It was just such a cool experience overall. I had so much fun.
How many voices in the choir?
We had about, I'd say 40, 35. There were 55 people total, just enough for one bus and not a seat more. So it was perfect.
And why, we didn't really get into this at the start, but why did you choose the University of Marion? What other places did you consider?
Well, I was looking at the University of Mary as a junior. I just heard about it through a North Dakota leadership seminar that I had attended at the University of Mary. I went to all kinds of different universities in the state, and then I also looked at other schools and never toured places like Notre Dame, Stanford, Duke, just dream schools of mine that I'd always thought, it'd be cool to go there. Then I toured the University of Mary, and I just fell in love. I mean, it was the amount of positive energy that comes out of that place, the fact that people are willing to go out of their way and help you, and their true concern for you, to turn you into a leader in the service of truth, to form you with some moral integrity and courage. I really admired what they did. And even the tour guides who were student ambassadors, they were students, and they shared their experiences with me. I fell in love with it. It was great.
Was it important to you to go to a smaller school?
I think the personal attention was a really big factor, especially in biology. You're dealing with a lot of pre-med students, a lot of pre-healthcare, and there are a lot of them. And so when you go to a smaller school, you're going to get that one-on-one attention compared to a 500 or 600 student lecture hall for anatomy and physiology. You've got just one-on-one personal attention that the instructor's willing to spend with you while you're in lab with only 5 or 6 other people. I think that was a huge draw for me with the small class sizes, but I love Mary because it's big enough where you can pick your friends and small enough where everybody knows who you are and they'll take care of you if you're in need. So,
Ms. Lear, was it important to you to come to a smaller school, or was that a factor?
Not at all, really. I grew up in a big town and went to a big high school. I graduated with almost 500 students just in my graduation class, so I wasn't really worried about the size of the university. But now that I'm here, I'm so glad that I go to a small university. I remember my first freshman class, one of our professors, Chad Litton, said, "How many of you graduated with less than 100 people?" And the whole class stood up. And I just looked around, and he said, "How many of you graduated with 500?" And there was me and one other person. And I just knew that I was the odd man out, and now I love it there, and I love that it's small. And just like Ryan said, Ryan and I can't walk across campus in less than 10 minutes because everybody stops to say hi. It doesn't matter if they're a freshman or they're faculty. Everybody's talking to everybody. It's just a great atmosphere.
Which is larger, the University of Mary or your high school?
The University of Mary, because we have about 3,000 on-campus students. Okay. Yeah, so it would be Mary.
But your high school, if I understood you correctly, is comparably sized to the university, is it not?
It's pretty big.
And you became aware, you mentioned you heard someone talking on an airplane. Did you actually meet this person and know who they were? I
did. I was actually talking to the gentleman next to me who I was talking to my mom about college, and this was tension because I didn't start touring college until I was a senior. And I had picked Viterbo University in Wisconsin. The guy next to me was a Viterbo alum, and we're chatting and talking about everything, and I just like to talk to everybody. And this gentleman behind me stood up and said, "Oh, you're looking at Viterbo. You should look at the University of Mary." And I was like, "Yeah, you're a weirdo. Who stands up and says that to anybody that you don't know?" And I got home, and I checked it out, and we were like, well, what do we have to lose? So we drove out here to Bismarck, got here in the middle of the night, looked around, hated it. Got up in the morning, and after a tour of campus and meeting with Monsignor, this is where we were supposed to be.
Why did you hate it at first?
It reminded me of the community college at home, and I think it's just because, like, the big all-cement buildings. When I think of college, when I was thinking of college, and, like, Viterbo is big brick buildings, and, like, we went to SDSU, and they have big brick buildings. It's so beautiful, and it spreads across this huge amount of land, and then there's the University of Mary on its hill, and it's all concrete, and it's beautiful. But it just wasn't what I envisioned at the time.
Isn't the view pretty good?
Oh, yeah. We have the best view in the city.
Yeah, we do. I wish you could have seen the sunset while we were leaving campus to come down here. It was gorgeous. It was just amazing.
So what does, I mean, we mentioned this before, but what kind of authority does the student government have in terms of how the university is run? What sort of role do you take, and what kind of responsibilities does the administration give you?
Well, the University of Mary is kind of it's a different school in the state just because of the fact that we're private. A lot of student associations or student governments in the state have some kind of legislative influence on different policies that happen at the Capitol. And the University of Mary is a little different because we don't play by those rules. We're a private university. We have our own system and way of doing things. So the University of Mary student government, it's a different role than what you typically see from a student government or a student association. I think that the way that our university is run, what our administration is looking for is when they're looking at strategic planning and long-term vision goals, they want the students' opinions on how we can make this experience better for our students. And one of the biggest things that our university teaches us is that it's not about me. And the fact that our university is saying, yeah, it's not about what we do as administration and faculty and staff, it's about what you do as students. It's that experience and that I guess you could say that. That thought process that really influenced me, to give back, and influenced a lot of students on our campus to give back and serve others. Student government has a little bit of authority just all across the board, from polling students about what different kinds of majors they want to see, asking about different programming ideas, different policy changes that could be coming up, all the way up to one of the biggest capital projects that the university's ever seen, the Campus Center, which will be coming up very shortly. In fact, we're getting focus group this spring before school lets out. Yeah, in the next week. So it's exciting stuff, and the students really have a say in it. And by being a part of student government, we get to voice those opinions of the students.
What sort of things would you like to see as part of this project, Ms. Lear?
For the Campus Center?
Yes.
I'm really excited for the university to have a heart of the university. Gets thrown around all the time because that's what we need. We have some place on campus where students can go and there's couches and they can order food and hang out. There's pool tables, but it's not at the middle of campus, and it's not a gathering area. It's kind of out of everybody's way. You don't have to walk through it. I'm excited for the university to have a draw in the center where students want to be and they want to meet their friends, and they can walk through in a matter of seconds and see who's there and sit down or keep going. We're going to have awesome programming space that I'm really excited for, is what it sounds like. We're going to have places where we can have performances in this area. We're going to have places where our student-led organizations can meet and put on events for themselves and for the campus as a whole. It's just going to be a lot. It's going to be student designed in a way. We're going to talk to students from every different organization. We have Student Senate coming up. We have our Marauder activities coming up. We have Res Life is going to talk with the architects and see what would help Residents Life better do their job with this student center. So it's going to be designed a lot around what we need as students and what's going to help us in the future.
What sort of features are you looking for the student center, Mr. Sapo?
Well, I'm really excited, as Emily said, about just having a campus living room that we can do. Emily and I both served on the Campus Center Planning Committee last year, and that was one of the big catchphrases that was thrown around, is this campus living room, this communal living space where people can just go and sit down, study, hang out, watch TV, play video games, whatever, just talk about life. It's a great place that it's going to turn into a social forum. I think there's going to be a lot more lounge space for our students that's going to be well utilized. I mean, every nook and cranny on our campus is filled with students studying for, even getting ready for finals now. It's, there's just all kinds of people that are looking around for study space, and it's just an exciting time for our university, because never have we had a place that the students can truly call home on our campus outside of the residence halls. And it's just going to be one of those wonderful additions to our campus that's really going to bring the traffic flow and bring that pulse to our campus.
If students want to hang out now together, where do they go?
The business school has to be one of the busiest places I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. You cannot walk through that building at any time of day and find a place to sit. And there's couches everywhere, and there's little benches everywhere, and it's always packed. So during the day, a lot of students are in the business school, whether they're sleeping or studying or hanging out. And we also have a sit-down coffee shop in North Campus, and Chick's Place, which has couches, and you can order food, and there's a small stage.
And this student center will add what to what you're able to do there, aside from having a place to
Well, we're
hang out?
actually, in the master plan, it looks like we could get rid of some of the spaces that we have right now where students like to hang out, like the coffee shop and Chick's Place. So I think it's going to bring all of those areas together so that it's not, you don't have to walk 4 places on campus to find where your friends are. You can walk to one building and everybody's right there.
And when you have a performance space, what sort of performances are you thinking of?
It seems like a live music is going to be something that we could perform in there. And then, like, our senators are asked to do 2 outreach events a year where they outreach to whether it be their major or the student body as a whole, and they just put on some sort of event. We do cookies for the nursing students was done. Swing dances this year are huge.
Yeah.
Swing dances. Let's talk about those.
Yeah.
What is a swing dance?
So much
Pardon
fun.
me.
Well, they started as just a small dance on South Campus where there are 3 residence halls down south, and they would just clear the tables from the South cafeteria, put on a iPod, I don't even know,
it was just
and
an
just
iPod
start
connected to
dancing.
speakers,
And it would go from 8 o'clock at night to 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, and they're packed. And we try to do dances as a Marauder Activity Committee and bring in a DJ and, you know, try to make it like a club atmosphere. I don't really know. But people don't show up. And we do one swing dance, and that whole thing is packed for the whole night.
What do you attribute that to?
I have never seen anything like it. I don't even know how to swing dance. I've learned in the last 3 weeks because I have to, or I'm going to have no friends. They're all at swing dances. But it just has to be this incoming student body that we've had in the last 2 years are so outgoing, so adventurous. They're so different from any students I've ever seen being an RA over the last 2 years. The students are just incredible, and the way they're changing this campus for the better is amazing.
I mean, you're an RA. What sort of problems do you run into as an RA? I mean, what are they trying to put over on you?
What do they try to pull over on me? Well, not much.
I'm sure that you can detect most everything.
Right, yeah. No, we have students like to hang out with the boyfriend a little too late or something like that. But, I mean, that's our biggest problem sometimes.
Hanging out with a boyfriend, you mean?
Yeah, we have visitation hours, so you can't be with the opposite sex after midnight on weekdays or 2 a.m. on the weekends. So.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. Mr. Sapo, what I want you to talk about swing dancing. Is this
Yes, sir.
Is this something what is it, for example? I don't even know what swing dancing is.
Swing dancing is, you ever been to a barn dance before?
I have,
You've seen
yes.
those, yeah, it's kind of you can do 2 steps, you can do, there's 2 different kinds of swing dancing, and I'm no expert on it, but I know that me and my girlfriend love to go out there and just have a good time. There are all kinds of people that are just pros at swing dancing in there, and they're doing they're flipping girls, and they're
spinning them behind their
spinning
back.
behind their backs and doing all kinds of different crazy things, the dips and the it's you dance to ragtime music, you dance to jazz swing music, and then you can basically swing dance to any song, as we've learned at these swing dances.
Yeah.
I mean, Cotton Eye Joe to a brand new Britney Spears song. You can swing dance to anything, and so we what basically happens is that all these the people that are really good at swing dancing are just teaching everybody else how to do it, and then it just snowballs from there. It's a cool skill to have. It's kind of like a wedding dance without the wedding.
I would like to know obviously you like the university and you partake in all of what it has to offer. What doesn't it offer that you think it should? I mean, how would you improve the operation of the university?
That's something Ryan and I are working on, is listening to students and what they want. And one of the big things that students want, actually it was presented by a student, Kayla Carlson, brought up this idea of a student rewards program. And she wants to incentivize activities on campus. So in the next year, it could be September, it's guaranteed spring semester, we are going to have students be able to swipe their their M card at any athletic event, Marauder activity event, campus ministry event, and performing arts event. Even convocations, res life meetings, we're kind of playing with those ideas, and they are going to be able to earn points the more activities they go or attend. And then the more activities they attend, the more points they get, and then they can turn those in for M-Bucks on their card, and they can buy coffee, they can buy books, they can buy sweatshirts, whatever they want. So students want to have something in return for going all that stuff, and they are going to get it in the next year.
What do you think about that idea, Mr. Sapo?
Well, this was something that was brought up to myself and Deland in the last term, and we were just really excited about how this is going to incentivize a lot of community building. A lot of students, will go to these events, but then they'll kind of get tired, and they're like, we only have so many students on our campus. I'm seeing the same people over and over again. How do we draw all these other students out of their rooms to come to these events? And this is one of the best solutions I've ever heard of, because we've seen this happen at other universities. I think Tennessee, the Volunteers, they do that at their university. In Kansas State was another program that was looked at, and they really we built that model around what they do, and then added our own little flavor to it. I think this is going to be a really exciting opportunity for our students to be rewarded for going to a lot of events, to being regulars at all these events, and then also to our new students and the people who don't go to events to just break out of their shells and come. There's something to get from this. So, yeah, it's exciting.
Is that I guess I'd use the word problem, people kind of cloistered in their rooms and they don't come out?
It is in some halls. We have two different type of halls on campus. We have halls that it's your room, and then there's a door, and then there's a hallway, and then we have dorms where it's suite style living. So you walk in a door, and then there's a bathroom, and then there's two dorms. So there's two doors you have to get through in order to socialize with the people in your hall. So those halls, we have a problem with pulling students out. And like Ryan said before, we have the same students that go to the same events, and you know who those are. That's your Marauder crew right there all the time. We just have to get students excited again, because we have a lot of students that are super excited and a lot of students who are just there to study, which is understandable. But we want to get people out and about and building that community that the university thrives on.
What sort of problems are posed by the fact that you're a ways out of town?
I think one of the biggest problems that we have is just, the lack of dining service options past a certain hour at night. I myself am a night owl, and so I need some food at 1 or 2 in the morning when I'm studying biochemistry, stuff like that. And it's good to be considering these options with the advent of the campus center to see if there's some kind of way that we can have some kind of 24-hour convenience store on our campus. It's been talked about. It's been thrown around. I also think that the drive is kind of a big setback for the people that live in town.
What sort of problems have you noticed from being way out of town?
Well, as I came from St. Paul, and I don't drive, so I don't have a car out here. So when we have athletic events in town, I rely on friends. I rely on friends to get to the grocery store. I rely on friends to go out at night. So that's hard, especially with all the students we have coming from all across the country.
The woman you've heard speaking is Emily Lear. She's the newly elected vice president of the student body of the University of Mary. We've been speaking to her and Mr. Ryan Sapo, who is the newly elected president of the University of Mary. Actually, I should say he's reelected as the president of the University of Mary student body. And they've been speaking to us during the University of Mary Hour on the Legislature today. It's been a delightful discussion. Thank you both for coming, and good luck to you in your studies and your future.
Thank you so much.